Mr. O'Brien, can you hear us? How are they?
Yep, I hear you just fine.
Perfect. We're gonna go on mute until they call us to order, and then we will be off of mute and we'll take a motion to let you participate, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Holly.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yes. Holly. School things having a magnet to it, but so it's Reese's last name. Oh, that's.
It's for, all right. Or hey, Holly, are we?
Or live streaming, but we are actually. I thought we were muted. We're not muted, so we're live streaming whenever you're ready to call it.
Hey, it is 4:04, and I would like to call the Children's Service Council of Leon County Governing Council meeting to order. Holly, are you to be, you guys, could you call the roll for me?
Sure. Ms. Walker. Councilmember Vanderlinden. Here. Councilmember Richards. Here, I'm sorry. Councilmember O'Brien. Councilmember Johnson.
By the way, here, I'm sorry, I had to go off mute real quickly. This is O'Brien.
Thank you. Judge Hobbs. Superintendent Hannah.
Here.
Commissioner Cummings. Here. Treasurer Mitchell.
Here.
Chair Jones. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Holly. The first order of business is we have a policy where we are allowed to have folks from the council who are not physically present, as long as we have a quorum, which we do without them, we're allowed to have them participate in the meeting. Mr. O'Brien is unable to be here, and so if I can get a motion.
I make a motion.
Thank you very much. Motion by Ms. Richards and a second by Commissioner Cummings. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And none abstaining. Mr. O'Brien, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. Glad to be a part of it, as always.
Before we get to the approval of the agenda, we have an intern, Reese Barnes. Reese, welcome to the Children's Services Council.
Reese is one of our communications interns. She's been doing a bang up job. Reese is a third year senior at Florida A&M and will be graduating this year.
Children who graduated in 3 years. I hope my boys are listening. Item 3 is the approval of the agenda. Mr. Chair, I move to got a motion and a second. I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very nice. We have item 4, which is general public comment. Holly, do we have public comment?
We do. First up to the podium is Ms. LaShawn Warden.
Oh, sorry.
Surprise.
But good afternoon, council members, CSC staff, friends and partners here. Just a couple of quick things and I'll be brief. First of all, I want to say thank you for your continued commitment to human services, youth serving agencies and families. We really appreciate the partnership with CSC. It does not go unnoticed. And super grateful to be able to work with the staff on a consistent basis. One of the things that the UPHS team has been privileged to do over the last couple of months is to work with the family resource centers to get out in the Griffin Heights and Frenchtown community and really engage with the families and the leaders in those communities. We had some very heartfelt meetings. When you're sitting in a space with people who are oftentimes feeling very hopeless, seeing people come into the community and actually listen to them and kind of try to sympathize and relate to what they're going through, it really makes a big difference. There is a lack of trust in a lot of ways. And I really think over the last 5, 6 weeks, we've really been able to foster bringing back that trust in the community. And so people are really starting to see some hope. People are really feeling like the Family Resource Centers in conjunction with CSC, these people really see us. And so a lot of what came up was the lack of transportation and the lack of mental health resources. And also what I like to call just a lack of exposure, because there are a lot of resources out there, but people don't really know about it, which is why the role of a Family Resource Center is so important, because people need a maypole and a convener. This is the place where you can go to get information and get connected to those services. So when we begin to unpack the resources in the community, a lot of people were like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know it was there, even though it was 6 or 7 minutes down the street from their houses. And so, we talked a lot about what we can do to make sure people know about those resources and where could the Family Resource Center potentially be planted at? How can we share space? How can we set up community collabs? Because as we know, all of this work is building upon how we work together. No one group can do this work alone. And so we still have a lot of work to do, but that process has started. We've been in 6 or 7 different spaces in those communities that have been very underutilized. And one of the things I would be remiss if I didn't mention this is the role that the faith-based communities play in the Frenchtown and Griffin Heights communities. There's a lot of old religious institutions that have really stood in the gap for these people for years. And so as we continue to work on this project, the goal is to engage them even more, get those people back, those kids back involved in those programs, get some of those people mentored and cultivated by some of the elders. So I just want to thank you all for the work that you do, the support you give, and give a brief update on some of the work we've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. Much. Mr. McPhail?
There's no more public comment.
Okay. Item 5, if you all remember at our last meeting, Mr. Watts, Terrence Watts of the Department of Children and Families, who served incredibly well as our vice chair, decided that he just didn't like us anymore, I guess. So Ms. Walker is joining the council. However, that leaves a vacancy as for vice chair. And so what I would like to do is sort of open the discussion and hope to get a nomination for somebody to serve as vice chair. And I'll tell you the vice chair serves as a member of the executive committee, so that would be working with Chair Jones and myself on a meeting once every 2 months that occurs prior to the regular meeting. And I would say that that's about it in terms of additional duties and responsibilities. Sometimes that can be a little more voluminous than what I just said, but it isn't a huge job. But whoever does get the position will actually run this meeting once we name him or her vice chair, because they serve the place of the chair, not the treasurer. So would anybody like? Commissioner Cummings, I'm looking right at your hand up and I'm not following our rules. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move, for Vice Chair, Mr. Brett Johnson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ed Johnson be our vice chair. And are there any other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Again, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Other than Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson, if you would, set up here. If you would though, I'm going to turn the rest of the meeting over to you. There's really no surprises in the agenda. Because I looked ahead, just thinking, yeah, good. Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank- We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. General counsel update, Mr. Springer.
I'm here for Mr. Rowe, and I talked to him, he had nothing to report, and I talked to Holly, I think there's nothing to report, so it's easy. Unless anybody has questions.
Comments for,
Yeah, where are we at with the person that took our money?
Yeah, so I do know that, so there was the previous provider, Community Carpenter USA, so the council had authorized a lawsuit, so we filed a lawsuit. We've obtained a default, which is when the person does not respond to the lawsuit, so the court can enter, so liability is no longer an issue. To collect damages, we have to file a motion for a final default judgment with a dollar amount on it. So that's drafted and just need to get the final fees and costs, so that the default amount of the judgment will be $15,000, and then added to that will be fees and costs.
Okay.
That gets filed, we have to get a hearing time with Judge Richardson. And the defendant won't be able to contest liability, can contest damages, they expect they want to appear. So we'll get a judgment, so that's progressing nicely. The delay has been, we have to take steps to hunt them down to serve process. We did that, then we used substitute service through the Secretary of State, so we did that.
Okay.
But the last step is the damages phase, then you'll have a judgment, then the real last step will be trying to collect judgment. But as far as the legal part of it,
You know, it turns out that the easiest way to find this is right in front of City Hall when he's holding press conferences complaining about money that is being wasted. Remarkable, the irony of the whole stuff, but thank you, Mr. Springer. Yeah, other questions? Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
next item on the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Vice Chair. So we have two persons here to give a quick legislative update. So we have our wonderful CEO of FACT, our Florida Alliance for Children's Councils and Trusts, Michelle Watson, who will tag team with Derek McGee, who is our lobbyist for FACT. And Derek is partnered up with the Trianon Group, but serves also as COO of Johnson and Blanton. Did I say that right? Blanton firm. So the floor is yours.
So perfect. Thank you so much for having us. First of all, if you were not aware, Sika is the chair of my entire organization. So not only are we here, but she serves in a leadership position. So we're also thankful for all the time she gives us at that. But we've been working really, really hard this legislative session on what I like to call property tax proposal whack-a-mole. It really is how we've run a ton of micro simulations. So we partnered with Bob McKee. He was the chief economist at the Department of Revenue for over 30 years. And he's been able to help us understand the potential impact of any of the property tax proposals. The biggest being HJR 203, which is the House's property tax proposal, which is a complete elimination of homestead property taxes. That has the biggest impact across all children's services councils of $270 million. We were able to calculate that at the actual parcel level. As you know, that is sitting in Senate messages with really no desire or intent to pick that up. So that is really the worst case scenario we've seen. We've also had those micro simulations run in $25,000 additional homestead increments so that we could see what an additional homestead exemption could look like, whether it be 25,000, 50,000, 75,000, 100. We went all the way to 200,000. And we have those available. I can tell you that kind of the bottom line is that anything over an additional 100,000 homestead exemption will make our members run into their $500,000 cap that is allowed by statute. So anything up to 100,000, you could could be absorbed if the board, I say this caveat, if the board decided to raise the millage applied to their tax base without cutting services at the current level today. Anything a little bit above 100,000, you are moving into where you actually hit your cap of a $500,000 pursuant to statute, and therefore you would see service reductions. So the other thing we heard was that they were going to start looking at a percentage of homestead, whether it be a 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. We went ahead and ran those simulations as well. 40% lines up at about 100,000 additional homestead exemption as far as potential impact. But we are still running those micro simulations whenever we get any intel. As you know, the Senate has not released any property tax proposal for us to really react to yet. And neither has the governor's office. One of the things that we have had really strong conversations about is understanding the activities and the prevention and intervention services that children's services councils provide. Really communicating the fact that if we were to see a reduction in services, taxpayer dollars are actually going to be spent more on the back end, whether it be an intersect with juvenile justice, whether it be an intersect with child welfare, because we are not taking children out of those system pipelines through our prevention intervention services. Without access, they would not be willing, they would not be able to potentially avoid intersect with that. The other thing that we're communicating is not only does the money help draw down some local match, but our money helps draw down federal match as well. So for example, I'm going to use early learning. Across the state, our members invest about $60 million in early learning. That allows the state to draw down $27 million in federal child care and development block grant. That's our school readiness program. If our investments go away because of large scale property tax cuts, the legislature would have to find $27 million additional dollars of GR just to be able to draw down the entire child care development block grant. So not only is it a dollar for dollar reduction, but there's some large scale match implications. We also help draw down money for Title IV child welfare. We also help with drawdown for managing entities, our Healthy Start coalitions and Department of Health. So we're communicating that. We've had really strong conversations with Senate leadership about how can we potentially be discussed as first responders, responding to the community's needs. And we're going to continue to have those conversations. Obviously, a lot of that language is going to be thought through an implementing bill after a potential ballot initiative would be passed. And so that's really where we are on the big discussion that absolutely impacts our CSCs, which is the potential for the property tax. Otherwise, my other job that I usually do every legislative session, which is not in the property tax realm, is really our prenatal to career portfolio. And so areas that we've been working on as we've been following the new healthcare bill in the House, that really is a healthcare omnibus package that is meant to align to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. There was some impact to kid care as part of that bill. We worked to make sure that when they actually amended it to say no legally residing immigrant children, and we had it changed because it is allowed by One Big Beautiful Bill to make sure legally residing immigrant children could have access to kid care and health services. So that has been amended back and, like I said, is in line with the federal guidelines. In part of DJJ, many of our communities are in need of new juvenile detention centers. So our Broward community, we've been working to make sure that they get funding for their juvenile detention center. There's a big early learning bill out there, Senate Bill 1690 by Senator Alexis Claudiude and House Bill 765 by Representative Fiona McFarland. That is a multi-pronged package as it relates to child care licensing. There's a large family child care home insurance piece to that. They're creating a new child care fund that allows the direct support organization at DOE, that's the Florida Education Foundation, to be able to collect philanthropic donations, charitable giving, and any appropriations appropriated by the legislature to fund early learning as a potential other funding stream. And so they're calling it the Child Care Trust Fund and the Child Care Fund. So that would be allowed in this bill. And then lastly, there's a Center for Early Learning Professional Recognition that would be the administrative arm that would be able to collect all trainings taken by our early childhood workforce that would allow them to be able to attain micro credentials, stackable credentials that would then lead to certifications so that we could professionalize the field a little bit more. You know that there is autism bills that passed today, Senate Bill 206 and 851. So we're seeing where things are really lining up in kind of our prenatal to career agenda, and some things are, some things aren't. It's gonna be a really light substantive policy here from what we're seeing as it relates to us, but we're working hard every day. And the last thing that we're working on, which has not applied to you all yet, is our tax incremental funding issue. So our community redevelopment agencies, our CRAs, they have the ability to assess tax incremental funding to your children's services councils. Every member around the state, what they do is instead of saying we're going to exchange cash, they basically say we're going to exchange services. So we're not going to make you give us money because we're not the experts how to apply children's services. You all are the experts in how to apply children's services. So at the end of the year, you just give us a report on the children's services that you provided in our CRA footprint. We have one member in Escambia who does not read the legislation that way. They basically said, give me cash and I want to have that cash for sidewalks and cameras, to which there's a constitutional challenge. So we're looking at an exemption. There's a list of exemptions from having to pay the TIP incremental funding, so the tax incremental funding, and we are negotiating that in the tax package to make CSCs not have to apply that cash and instead just provide the services in those overall CRA footprints. So that's really where we are today. We don't know if next Friday is going to be the end. I can tell you from all sides, it's not likely to happen. And we have also now heard, obviously, there's a redistricting special session and a property tax special session. So there's a good chance that we will be working the halls of the Capitol all the way until some of that has really been negotiated, which could be this summer. So I will tell you that while Friday is kind of a date on paper, just stay tuned. We'll continue to keep you posted on everything that's happening that potentially impacts CSCs. But we're there walking the halls every day, making sure that your funded programs and services are being maintained. Now let's turn it over to Derek.
It's everything. I mean, the only other thing I'll say is on property tax. So the timing is they're looking at probably, governor like to do something in July. Property tax special session, the later the better. Other thing that's important about property tax is the governor does not have signing authority. Whatever the House Senate agrees upon ends up on the ballot in November, which is why he's been pretty animated about this, because like other bills, he doesn't sign or veto anything, goes right to the ballot. And so the wording is very, very important. One of the things that we're hearing, the Senate seems to be pretty open to going up to maybe $100,000 additional homestead. Anything more than that, they have heartburn about. They're absolutely opposed to a all-out elimination of property tax, the governor initially proposed. Joe mentioned about 203 is getting on arrival in the Senate. And so just getting these two parties in the room together has been a challenge like on anything else. And so we probably would have having 3 special sessions and property tax being the latest of those 3. My last point is the speaker, Danny Perez, would like to actually have the budget and property tax agreement resolved together before you do one or the other. His concern is that they both impact each other. So we shall see how that plays out. I think it's 60% on the ballot, which is a huge lift. No matter what passes, 60% is major. If you poll eliminating property taxes, it goes over 60%. And when you give the details of how you get to that, it drops below 60%. Right? It's like everybody hates Congress, they love their congressperson. You know, when you start telling them how to do it, it becomes a really big deal. And so we are working aggressively to educate and also really to fortify CSCs. And we're getting a lot of support and reaction in that regard. This is a behemoth process. And so we have a lot of work yet to do because of the calendar, but we are in a really good position. Congratulations, Mr. Vice Chair, by the way. Amazing to see you become Vice Chair, man.
Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you.
Too, sir.
Any council members have any questions? They're here to answer questions. If not, it's this forum. If you let me know, I can connect you for sure. All right,
Any
thank
other
you.
comments? So we'll move to the next section of our agenda. I'd like to turn it over to the council member and Finance Committee Chair, Mr. Mitchell.
I feel like everybody might not know, but I was just gonna say, was it Al Haig who was? Yeah, I think he did when President Reagan got shot, he was kind of vice president, but he was like, I'm in charge. I think it was Al Haig. I feel like Al Haig. Was it? Yes. All right. It's taxing my memory and American history. So it had been quite some time since we had a finance committee meeting. not that the finances hadn't been closely watched, but because timing from when our actual full council meetings, it worked out that we made up for a whole bunch of lost time, and we did it in two meetings. First, the finance committee meetings, and you will see that the finance committee and pretty much everybody, or a good portion of the council, showed up for the budget workshop. So they got to also hear the finance committee meeting. But if you have any questions about the financials, they are in your backup. And Mr. Chair, I would move that this is broken. Do you want to do them all three? Okay, all right. So that's the first thing is the update of all of the finances through what month are we in? Through January of 2026. The second thing is a report on a budget workshop, which for those of you who participated, which was the lion's share of the council, I appreciate you taking the time just to go through a better understanding of how we budget and what the budget's going to look like and the control that each of us as appointed members of this council have in making financial decisions. And that rests with the 10 of us. And so I think we as we're getting ready to put together the budget for 2026, 2027, which I can't believe every time I look at a calendar, that's what we're talking about. I think everyone is going to be able to come into that meeting with a better understanding of, okay, now what are we doing? We've got a couple of new board members that both participated in that workshop. And hopefully that would, bring both you, Austin, and Ms. Walker sort of up to speed on kind of what we're doing and how the process works. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the either A or B, or no, just A, any of the three subsets of the Finance and Budget Committee. Seeing none, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
So we're going to take all three of these items up in a single motion. So
I will move the Financial Budget Committee reports.
If I can online, I'll second that.
Okay, are we just taking the first one?
Yes,
All three.
all three under the first.
Under the first. Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have to ask for any comment on this? Is there any public comment?
There is not.
Thank you, Ms. Bale. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Hearing none, we'll move to item B under committee reports. Executive Director Green, are you going to run with that?
Yes,
It's
it'll
all
be very,
yours.
very quick. So council members, on page 25 is the most updated version of the draft goal statements and strategies. We did have a few comments that we made those changes. This is your last opportunity before our April meeting to provide any input to staff. You may call me, or Holly, and we can go through them with you. But in April, the idea is that we will approve your goal statements, which will then help us inform how procurement and programming moves forward. I think it's also important to understand that the goal statements were made in conjunction with community indicators. So they aren't just in a vacuum, but in conjunction with community indicators.
Okay. Any member comments on that item?
I just have,
Oh, sure.
go ahead. Actually, I'm not going to say anything.
Commissioner Cummings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I apologize. I know I was in a couple of those meetings and I don't know what happened. I got sick, I guess, and missed a couple. But I think what we have, you guys did a great job on those and the theories and what have you. But I would like for us to look at number 2 on page 27. Under reduce barriers to school attendance and engagement. And I would like to add. Partner with CCYS and other entities to reduce and alleviate the number of youth experiencing homelessness. And look, read, the entire goals and what have you. I didn't see the word homelessness anywhere, but we do have quite a few youth that are experiencing homelessness in our population. And I'll do something there with the executive director of CCYS. Flowers Pacific when, yeah. And Miss Flowers, I mean, they do a phenomenal job of housing and taking care of our homeless youth. They've got, I think their facility has an 18-bed capacity. They could really use more bed. But anyway, my suggestion is just a partner might be a good word, Madam Executive Director or council members, but coordinate maybe with CCYS or other entities to reduce and alleviate the number of youth experiencing homelessness.
So if I may suggest, we can add homelessness, we'll workshop that a little bit. Let's not put an entity only because we want to be open to any entity that might be able to help us accomplish that.
Okay, that's my
Including the
suggestion.
other ones we thought.
Including
Right.
any, yeah,
Because we're
any.
funding CCYS, but.
Right, they
Yeah.
do get something. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that if we could be a little bit more deliberate, and I think by having these as goals and objectives, it pushes us toward being deliberate about addressing those issues. So, partner with social service agencies, nonprofits, or something in general rather than naming any entity, because there are several that deal with our youth, and with homelessness.
So if you will allow us, the team will get together, kind of workshop that 2A, and we'll get with you to go through that wording and make sure it's hitting where you like it.
Okay, great. And I'm just, we'll make sure the other council members don't have any major objections.
I don't have an objection. I thought we could, out of that, we're gonna work that in somewhere. But I fully support that, love the idea, and I'm with you on it, Commissioner Cummings. So, I want to make sure we get that in there.
Mr. Chair? Yes, Mr. Mitchell, Councilmember Mitchell.
Screen word. I swore when this came up and Commissioner Cummings brought it up.
But if you look at 2C, we don't specifically say homelessness.
Okay, but part of our overall, and I always mess whatever that chart is, the
Theory of change.
theory of change. Didn't we deal with the issue of homelessness? Because that was one of the, yeah,
So
so,
it's stable housing.
okay, stable housing, there's.
Not homelessness, but one of the
Okay.
impact areas. Where do we have that?
So to Commissioner, on the theory of change, you gotta kind of go, you gotta float back and forth, but it was an emphasis of the council. So to Commissioner Cummings' point, it should be in here and just adding it, with the one exception of not specifying one particular program over another.
So we'll look at, in C, we do talk about addressing root causes of housing instability. But given the comment, let us go and work with those so that we get to a wording that gets to where Commissioner Cummings and the council,
emphasis on
since it's not just.
A homeless. So, okay.
But
So go ahead.
overall, Mr. Chair, I think that's my comments, but yeah, I just commend the group and, I executive director and staff, because I think they've done a good job. In establishing the goals and then the coefficients under one of those goals. It's real good.
And I appreciate that, but that was
No
really the
credit to
work
you.
of the council. I mean, we helped hone in the idea, but it was the ad hoc.
The group, absolutely. Thank you.
So,
Councilmember Vanderlyn.
Yeah, can. Well, I'm totally for this. I'm just, like, what are we defining as homeless? Like homelessness, right? Because I know there's a lot of kids that are in like emergency shelters and stuff like that, and maybe they're in foster care and they just don't have a placement. Are we looking at like, and that, but also where are we gonna get the data?
so when we're talking about homelessness, there are a couple of things that we can look at. And I think that's part of defining what the objectives are gonna be and then what we're using as our standard, because we're not gonna be able to address everything. In the public schools, and superintendent can correct me if I'm wrong, it's called fit families, so families in transition. And so it could be that we're targeting those at a certain age. It could be that we target specifically adolescents. So I think we have to decide if we leave it broad, then at any point we can focus in on a particular group with a procurement of some type that would address the goal. So I think it's still kind of wide open to try to focus in on what that definition. Now, the Big Bend continuum of care, of course, has a federal definition that is used for homelessness. So we would work in conjunction with them as well. So we've got a ways to go to figure out what part of homeless youth, because that's broad, that we want to.
Right, because I know like if some families are at like the Hope Shelter, right, or parents want to drop their kids off at CCYS for a weekend or something. Like, I'm just trying to figure out what, because it definitely needs to happen, right? There should not be homeless children. Sorry, there shouldn't be kids that aren't eating either. So like, I'm just trying to find about how we're gonna define it and tackle it.
I think we still have to have a few conversations.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 2 points on this. One, I think we should keep the definition as broad as possible so that when there's something that is, that moves this council, we're able to do it and we're not limiting ourselves up front. But putting some sort of an emphasis so that the commissioners desire is in it. And then my question, when we were at the budget workshop, you all passed out what was the most recent draft. And then, so then I left it here because you said, no, we're gonna give you a new draft. And then I saw this as backup. Is this should we expect another draft before we give our final opinion?
You will get one more.
We're gonna get one more and then the one that we'll actually vote on
The one that you get will be the one that.
will be the final draft that will include Commissioner Cummings.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we get that as soon as it's finalized?
Sure.
So we have like more than just our typical like 7 days.
Any other member comments? I would just add that we've got to narrow down the comments going into this. We workshopped this under Mr. Watts, and opportunities have been given each of the council members to meet separately with staff. So if you feel strongly about any other items, I would just encourage you to do it sooner versus later in terms of any wording on existing items or anything that might come before us. Because I think the longer, just in my opinion, the longer we wait to even get good metrics out there, it doesn't serve the council well. We could stay forever to get it great, but good enough would help us out in getting decent community metrics out there for us. I'd like to move to agenda item 10 on programming, our recommendation for RFP award for year-round youth development. Do you want to lead off on this?
Actually, Fred is gonna lead this one forward. Our panel, and we're gonna let him do it and let y'all listen to the recommendation.
Okay.
So in the package on page 33, quick three. There's a memo from Mr. Davis, who's on the evaluation panel. So that's the written summary. I think Mr. Davis is here to make the presentation to you in the process. So.
Good afternoon. Hey, Jimmy Davis. Have some oversight. If it's already in the record, I don't have to read it. Is that fair enough, Mr. Chair, or you want me to read through the memo? How would you see on that?
It's up to you as our.
Okay, sure. So, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, while this council was gathering, there were thousands of K-8 students in Leon County who were dismissed from school. Some went to a safe and enriching environment, home or to an after-school program. Others had nowhere to go. Today's recommendation about providing safe, enriching environments for 840 youth. I had the privilege to serve as the spokesman for a panel of community members, along with guidance from staff here at CSC Leon, gave weeks of time, energy, intelligence, and passion to this rigorous process. I believe there's one person who served on this evaluation panel previously, sits on the council. If you know, it's intense. And we're very intentional. We had to be intentional to execute the assignment. I want to say thank you to Jude Edelman, Lynn Jones, April Johnson, Kristen Jordan, Maria McIntyre. We're on the panel as well. We are a doctoral student, parents, a retired educator, data analysts, social workers, an engineer, community activists, community organizers who applied to be on the panel and chose to commit our time because the youth in Leon County matter. We were trained a priori, were reminded repeatedly, and then executed the established rigorous process that was put in front of us. It included metrics and measures for this award recommendation. The process demanded our independence and it protected our individuality while following Sunshine Law. The numbers, I'm a STEM guy, a PhD in engineering, 13 programs, $2,693,833, 843 unduplicated youth, 7 year-round programs, 6 summer-only programs, 8 returning programs, 5 new programs, 13 minority-led and 10 minority-owned businesses, and a diverse range of enrichment models from the concentrated priority zip code neighborhoods that we were tasked to make sure we cover. For me, it was rewarding and refreshing to see STEM, the STEM guy, and literacy, not just reading literacy, but financial literacy and music literacy that were covered. And they're captured in these recommended programs. Each program in the recommendation was chosen because it gives a child a better chance at academic success, exposes and excites them to career pathways, and it provides a safe place to grow. For me, that's not a metric. That's a moral obligation. And that's also the CSC Leon mission, right? And these programs to see fewer students, fewer youth in the juvenile justice system. So I know the board takes the stewardship of these resources seriously. So did this panel. So Mr. Chair, I'll read the memo. Shouldn't take too long to get it into for the record. Just pull it up. Subject, if you have it in front of you, you can read along. Tell me to stop. And then once I'm done, any and all questions, I'm here for it. The recommendation for the year-round out-of-school time request for proposals, project number 2026-01, executive summary, following a rigorous and transparent evaluation process. The out-of-school time evaluation panel respectfully recommends that the CSC Leon Governing Council approve funding for 13 programs under the year-round OST request for proposals. On Thursday, October 16, 2025, the CSC Leon Governing Council approved issuing an RFP to expand high-quality year-round OST programs in Leon County. I see the snow machine is back on. This initiative aims to foster positive youth development, support academic achievement, and reduce juvenile crime by providing enriching environments for children and youth in grades K through 8 after school and during the summer. CSC Leon published the RFP on Tuesday, 21st of October, 2025, and invited vendors to submit proposals. Many of them are sitting here. On Friday, January 9th, 2026, CSC Leon received 18 responses. After initial responsiveness check and opportunity to cure extended to all vendors, CSC Leon staff deemed one proposal ineligible. Of the 17 remaining proposals, 9 qualified as year-round programs and 8 as summer-only programs. The designated external evaluation panel received training on the purpose of the RFP and specific scoring rubric outlined in the RFP and described in depth in the evaluation manual. Each panelist independently reviewed the proposals using a rubric, while CSC Leon staff conducted a thorough budget review. The panelists issued scores from 4 of the following categories. CSC Leon staff issued a budget compliance score as described in the RFP. The first section was the provider profile for 20 points. Second section, program design, 35 points. Staffing plan, third section, 25 points. And then there was a data collection section up to 15 points. And the budget component led by CSC Leon was up to 25 points. In addition, vendors could receive up to 7 additional bonus points for specific items identified in the RFP, including attending training and the inclusion of specific elements in the proposal. On Wednesday, February 2nd through February 4th, the evaluation panel interviewed each vendor who presented key program features, photos of the location and facilities, organizational strengths, and a budget review. Each presentation was followed by a question and answer period with the panel. The panel requested supplemental materials from all vendors. The vendor received written communication and an opportunity to respond within 5 calendar days. Staff documented all communication with vendors and their responses. This was then provided to the evaluation panel before submitting final scores. Thursday, the 19th of February, during a duly noted public meeting, the evaluation panel reviewed and finalized individual scores and reissued the available bonus points as described in the RFP. Staff compiled the scores, calculated composite totals and percentages for each proposal. It's attached and down at the bottom. That's on page 3 or 4. Then the panel ranked proposals by score to guide funding recommendations. To arrive at the recommendation, the panel first identified a natural break in the composite scores. It was obvious, and to preserve program quality, eliminated from further consideration any proposal scoring lower or below 75%. This ensured that only programs demonstrating strong alignment with CSC Leon standards and performance expectations advanced to funding deliberation. The panel then compared remaining proposals against the total available budget to ensure equitable distribution of funds and maximize the number of youth served. The panel applied a uniform percentage reduction to all large-scale programs seeking to serve more than 100 youth. This approach allowed CSC Leon to preserve high-quality program design, maintain fiscal discipline, and expand overall community reach without disproportionately concentrating investment. Finally, the panel conducted a comparative analysis of program service locations to ensure the majority of the funded programs are located in CSC Leon priority neighborhoods. We also confirmed the range of enrichment models offered that they would ensure a wide variety of program options for youth and families. After completing this multi-step review process, the evaluation panel respectfully recommends CSC Leon approve total funding for 7 year-round proposals and 6 summer-only proposals as listed below in what you have in front of you, for a total investment of $2,693,833.30. This would result in services to 843 unduplicated youth across 13 programs, with funding concentrating on year-round programming. There's 7 of them, that's 70% of the funding, and some are only 6 programs, and that's 26% of the funding. The programs, Children's Home Society, Dynamic Explosion Cheer, Omega Lamplighters, Camp Summer Garden, Boys and Girls Club of the Big Bend, Institute for Music and Business, and Kingdom Life Preparatory Academy. The summer only programs, Tallahassee Nights Live, Performing Arts Foundation, FSU Center for Academic Retention and Enhancement, Diamonds in the Rough, Sports, Entertainment, and Education, She Academy, Citizens for a Sustainable Future, Big Bend Minority Chamber of Commerce. That's where I stopped. That was a long reading assignment. Thank you. So questions, I believe I can answer any of them.
I would just like to say on behalf of the council, before we move into council member questions and comments, I want to express on behalf of the council a thank you to yourself and all of the panel members that invested the amount of time and effort that I know, because I heard it, and then Mr. Mitchell has brought printouts of all of them, so I know the bulk of information that you went through in the deliberations. So on behalf of the council, I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just make sure I have this right. October of 25 is when the RFP opened.
Yes.
It closed in January. You guys did the interviews February. The beginning of February. And then you finalized, you guys came up with on the 19th of February, so you guys decided, okay.
2nd through 4th of February.
Yeah, okay.
19th, we came together.
Okay. All right. We're good. Thanks.
Okay. Next, Councilmember Richards.
What is this chart? Like, what am I looking at? I see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that individuals that rated? It's the final score sheet, OSC proposals.
Got it. So you're on page 4? Is that correct?
What page is this? 37? Nope.
Oh, you're,
Well, I'm right after the letter.
so you are looking at, so there's an ID number, first column. Second column is the second column is the organization.
Okay,
Third column,
okay,
whether it's year-round or
Okay.
program. And then there are sections that we have to grade on,
okay.
right? And you're seeing the scores, right? So
So is one section one that you graded on, or is one a person?
one is, let me see, research. Let's control that. I'm sorry, I have it. So there were 6. Yeah.
Okay,
Right, so one is a person.
okay, and then,
That's the section and profile section.
got
And
it,
then design, 35 points.
got it,
Those are each of us, the 6 people who are on it, can see how they were scored
got it, Perfect.
by individual.
perfect.
Any other questions? Councilmember Mitchell and then Vanderlinden.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh. Councilmember Mitchell.
Thanks. Hey, Jimmy, when you guys went through the
the proposals. Where in your scoring did you give consideration to previous grant recipients who had an evaluation done and had results of we funded the program in the past. Where did you give them points or take points away for meeting or not meeting certain levels?
And so I believe for my recollection, it appeared in two places. First section, the first page on page 37, profile and design.
Well, if it's a brand new applicant, how would you evaluate that the same way you would have someone who provided services last summer?
So they're not evaluated the same, right? When I say that, I mean the language that we are used that we're scoring against. How confident are you? What is the credibility of a certain program? Then are the standard metrics that are associated with how well do you manage money? What's your budget for? Have you managed a program of this amount in the past that you're requesting? What's your overall budget for your current business that you're doing now? And as we go through, or at least how I know we went through, we were very meticulous about, I don't even know if we thought about if they had been funded before. Right? It is listed in there. So we see what their proposal was, if they received funding before. Was there a question saying, were you funded before? Do you get points for it? No. Right? But it did help in the it did relate to whether or not you had managed amounts of this funding before. So that's how you capture it, right? So some people they have current CSC Leon funding, so you know they can manage the dollar amount, right? That's where it teased itself out.
Right, and I asked the question. Trying to figure out if someone was a recipient of funds in the past, and where did you evaluate attendance rates? Did kids show up to the program? Was there improvement over the summer? Did they make an improvement? And what was that percentage? And if one program, again, I read every single one of them, so I kind of went through your pain. I just only got 4 days to do it, so yeah.
So there's a gateway to get to be one of the 17.
I know what I'm asking is where would I see in your scoring, in evaluators scoring, that someone had received funds and they have results?
I know you're asking the next step, and I don't have everything, but I wish I had the questions for you so we can dig.
I have.
Okay. Okay.
So take a look, so I was not involved with the process, was involved with purchasing policy, so I think when I was looking at this, just when the reasonable form. You refer back to the council has a purchasing policy from 2021. So that's the main measure in the RFP itself. So I think Mr. Mitchell, in the training materials given to the evaluation team under provider profile, like that was mentioned, there was a question on the scoring sheet: has the vendor identified a recent similar size contractor granting managed, which is in the RFP itself. And then the questioning for the evaluators was to guide them in scoring. If yes, how well did the vendor demonstrate the ability to manage resources effectively and meet deliverables on time? So I think that question, if the evaluators apply that question during their evaluation process, that's where you capture successful past performance. As a general matter, like procurement generally, past performance is a legitimate measure. If you don't have past performance, it's renewed. The guiding principle is that you can't subtract points. if they, if they've never done it before, but they have done it before, then that's a legitimate measure, and it's in that question under the provider profile, question 4.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Springer, but I'll ask a little bit differently. Performance outcomes of programs that we have funded in the past. We have documentation on how well they performed. One of those performance outcomes is enrichment gains. If I said to you that an enrichment gain, and did anyone share with you their past performance, any of these documents? Maybe that's a better question.
Yes. I mean, so you, I mean,
So
gone through what we've gone through, you.
So, no. I didn't see these anywhere. I asked for these in addition. So again, without specifying any particular program, a performance outcome would be a strong indicator. If we funded a program last year and they've asked for funding again this year, their performance outcomes last year, did anyone on the evaluation committee consider their past performance with the CSC? And if so, where would I find that in the score sheet? That's all I'm asking. Just if you found out that someone,
Let me say, I understand your question.
Okay.
I think it's beyond us, right? And I want to say, and I understand what you're doing. I just think I'm the wrong person to ask.
And that's,
But I will,
that's okay.
but I will ask, I will say this. I'm just gonna, for me, I approach this in an engineer way. Here are the questions. There are 15 points. I didn't have a weighting system. So I'm gonna weight this the way an engineer would weight it, right? And that's kind of what I did. That was the first time I went through, right? I went through clean, everything, read it, boom, here's what I have. What does this word confidence mean? What is credible? Every single thing. That's the way I did it. Then the people came and they spoke for us. And I realized that the numbers can't be the only thing that these programs are about, because these programs are about supporting students and people also. So you have to see beyond the numbers and see the people who are serving the youth in the community. So when the numbers come out, they're highly rated. These are the top programs. And you look at them and go, wow, that's impressive. Is what they've written correspond to the people who stand in front of you. And when that's equal, that's easy, right? When it's not equal, it becomes a little bit more challenging. However, we graded it. I wasn't the only person in the room, right? So other people had different metrics of scoring, right? And that's the beauty of this. There were 6 of us, and everyone didn't do it the way I did it, right? And that's that diversity of evaluators allows for elimination, or at least averaging of, hey, Jimmy thought this person did well last year, or that this is a good program. I don't have that, but I saw 2025 OST, and I asked questions that related to how well you did and what your metrics are, because I'm all on the data. If you're a STEM program, I'm hitting you hard. Other people who are literacy people, they're on literacy. So the committee, by construction, was able to provide a very look at what it is. And if you're on the committee, you'd have dove in. You might have scored somebody lower than I did, but on average, here's where we are. And that's the beauty of how I believe all of you have constructed this. That is the beauty, right? We don't all think the same. We're not going to all process this the same way. That's my perspective.
Let me try one last
Okay.
try. I think your answer
What are
is,
you pushing at? What are you pushing at? There's something behind this. What are you pushing?
there's nothing behind it. It is I'm going to read something to you. This comes from a CSC document, a performance outcome from a previous grant recipient. under performance outcomes, enrichment gains. 80% of program participants will show gains using the required CSC Leon approved enrichment assessment tool between baselines, okay? 80%. If I told you that a grant recipient only scored a 45.5%, would that have affected, did anyone ever share that with you? And if so, where would I find that in the evaluation?
So to that detail, the way the questions are formulated, the only way we get that is if we would ask. We would ask.
So the answer to my question is past performance as was dictated by the CSC as part of a contract that someone had last year with us. That was never shared with you, therefore it was never part of your evaluation.
So I understand your question. If that's what you're driving at, I'm just gonna go back to what the.
I mean, I was not an evaluator, I dealt with facts that were.
It's so.
Under provided profile.
I don't remember what the question was.
So I was not the training evaluators, but the evaluators were told in awarding those 20 points, consider if they've done this before, how well did they demonstrate the ability to manage resources effectively and meet deliverables on time? So I would think, but what you asked would fall under that question. If I were an evaluator, if I knew what you just said, I would award less points to that proposal.
Councilmember Mitchell, in light of the comments that you're making, normally the discussion would lead to either a motion to accept the, I would anticipate that it would lead to a motion to accept the recommendations from the evaluation panel. Is there any motion or amendment to such a motion that you would consider would be appropriate in this circumstance?
So I'm gonna,
Wait, can I?
yeah,
Let me say something. As a new person coming on, I want to say that I'm very disappointed. I don't think it's the word. I don't know. The next time we do this, there needs to be a different way. I think having like a week to get these stuff to make a big decision on this money and where it's going in some of these programs is not enough time. I don't know if there's not enough time that the RFP needs to be done earlier and closed, and then the team, because that, and then given to us to be able to look, but there needs to be a time frame, a better way of doing this. I feel very not. There's just a lot of concern, I guess I have. And I know that you guys did, y'all went through it, and I'm like you, my mind's like, okay, here's it, but I don't think you should be up here. I think it was a disservice of how the time was done. And I would have, next time we do this, we need to come up with a better system. And we need to get this information way earlier than a week before.
Noted from the seat that I'm sitting in right now. So I would also, and I'm probably not the best historian for the council, so if there are other more senior longevity council members, we've gone back and forth between either doing the evaluations as a council or getting public input on that, on these proposals. Am I accurate in that?
So this council decided you wanted to use external evaluators for our RFPs.
But early on, did we evaluate their own, or was always external? Because I sat on external.
Yeah, and you.
Or I was on the council.
It was external. This council also considered whether it would be a requirement for a council member to sit on an RFP evaluation panel, and this council decided that they did not want to do that.
That's not quite accurate. That's not quite accurate. I made the motion and there was a question about the legality. Ms. McPhail insisted that it was illegal. It then went to a committee that doesn't exist anymore. And that was headed by Chair Jones, who chaired that committee. And I was invited to come. Why did I think it was important? Why I thought it was important is I think it is good that I think every procurement will be better because a council member is on it. And that does not take away anything from the members of the community who I think are amazing. I sat through the FRC.
Did you not say there was a member on it?
No,
No, a past member.
someone who.
Okay.
The Family Resource Centers, for example, I sat on both the evaluation and the negotiation the second time. The first time, I think it was Mr. Watts that sat on it. The decision to not have a council member on each one was never really sort of finalized. It was the program committee that decided not to recommend it.
Mr. Mitchell, I have to interrupt you. There was a motion and the motion failed. And so that is why this council decided not to make it mandatory for a council member to sit on the RFPs. If a council member wanted to, they could. What you all decided was that for an ITN, a council member would sit on an ITN evaluation committee, and then that same council member would sit on the negotiation committee. So while I apologize for interrupting you, I do feel like in my role, I need to be clear about what the council did. Now, at any point, the council can decide to do something different. But that is where we ended up with having the community evaluators for the RFP. They would bring back a list of their recommended programs. This council would decide whether to go with their recommendation, whether not to accept it, or whether to do something different. So now I felt like I had to correct.
So I'm gonna go to Councilmember Richards.
Thank you. I was gonna hold this for after we voted on this item, but I was gonna bring it up. I think that the presentation of this item could have been much better received if there was an analysis and a summary of the programs that were presented. So all we have are these numbers, and then the entire 12 documents to each organization, and that is a lot to go through in a very short time. Not saying it can't be done. I think in addition, in the future, if we could have more of an agenda item, that is a summary analysis of what has been collected, that could be super helpful. Knowing, this is, for example, the Children's Home Society is a year-round program serving this many kids in these zip codes, and they're using this percentage for whatever. I think that a little more information in the agenda item could have helped a lot of confusion surrounding, and just in general could have helped council members make a decision about the programs.
Councilmember Mitchell.
But let me, I'm gonna make a couple comments. I look at this stack that I received on Friday, that I printed out. I read every one of them. I thought all 17 were. So let me start with, I have some questions about them. But there's no doubt, Jimmy, to your point, the environment we walk into is kids leaving school today. Some are getting picked up by their parents and being taken to a dance studio or a baseball field. Some are staying after in an enriching program, and then some are just walking home, right? We're trying to fix the summer of just walking home. All of this, it's clear that the effort that went into it, all of these 17 qualified applicants all tried to do that. So let me start by saying, got no problem with the applicants. They also suggest that the evaluators, to Mr. Johnson's point to begin with, I appreciate all of the hard work that went into it, because when I received them on Friday, despite being asking for quite some time that I get these so that I could read ahead and have questions, so that it wasn't the day of a board meeting where essentially a gun is being held to my head. Either we say yes or no. If we say no, all of this was for naught, and all of those kids that you're talking about that are leaving school and walking home to nothing, they're lost. If I say no, right? So this is not about the evaluation team. It is about the process. I shared with Ms. McPhail, I copied Ms. Green and Mr. Springer because they were on Holly's email to me, my level of frustration. We keep getting better. We are better this year than we were last year. But if you go and you look at the minutes, I said the same thing last year. We need to start earlier. We have to start earlier so that the board members who are about to vote on 1/3 of our entire annual budget is that we are all individually comfortable. While I read every single one of these, and I tried my very best using the Google, and every social media outlet I could find, every way that I could figure out answers to questions. And oh, by the way, using past performances and it's a shame that it wasn't shared with the evaluation committee. There are some programs that I'm not comfortable funding year round. Having said that, once again, we're at this point of what are you going to say to these kids? No. What are we going to say to the applicants? Many of are here today that busted their butts getting all this information together, going to training sessions. No, and there's no room for improvement. And with all due respect to the 6 evaluators, those 6 evaluators don't have the final decision-making authority on spending almost $3 million. And that is, I'm just being candid, that is really, really frustrating to me. And having said that, I'm certainly not going to pick one program out or 2 programs out because I'm not comfortable with that. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will move the recommendation of the evaluation committee with insistence that this staff does better, much better next year, and that we have a meeting between one extra meeting. So it would be, this would have come to us in January so that we can make the decision in March. And with that, thank you for the extra time.
So we have
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Cummings.
Can I second it with the caveat that bifurcated?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, I will move the recommendation of the 6 very capable and very diligent members of the community evaluation.
And
Do I have a second?
I second. Can I just comment just very briefly? Mr. Chair, I want to commend the chairperson, Mr. Davis. My maiden name as well. Might be related. But commend you guys. It was a lot of work doing the evaluation, doing your panel of evaluators. And I didn't print these out like Mr. Mitchell, but I went online. Holly is always good about giving us the link so that you can go online and pull each one of the proposals that's submitted. And I was impressed with the proposal, but I also have that institutional knowledge being on this council that almost 50% of those that submitted proposals have also been recipients of funding from the Children's Services Council, and I believe almost half of them have a record of having done a good job, having met their performance, metrics. I don't think any of those on this list has ever been what's the word for it? Has ever had their performance under their contract being questioned. And I don't think any of them have ever underperformed pursuant to the language in their particular contract. So I was familiar with some of those as well. And I do believe that it's certainly a service to our children, with the Children's Services Council, to have these programs year round and summer. Mind you, we might have some flaws, things that we need to work on perhaps as a council. But overall, I support the motion to fund these programs. I looked at the scores that you all gave, the 6 gave, and they were relative. The scores were relative. I didn't try to score them, but I was impressed, and I believe that our children, whom we serve, will benefit from the year-round programs and from the summer programs as well. So I think our concerns is not with you or the panel. I think if it's any issues that need to be addressed, it would be from the council. So just thank you guys for all of your service, unpaid, public servants, and we need public servants to be involved in what we do from a government standpoint. Government can't do it all. We need members in the community to step up to the plate, and you guys did. So I just want to commend you and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. So we've got a motion on the floor in a second. Are we moving obviously into comments at this time, or do we have to go to public comment first?
You can do either one. There's no public comment at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So Councilmember Hannah.
So I'd like to echo what the other board members have said. Thank you. Y'all put a lot of time, energy, and effort. We're very, very grateful. So don't take anything that's said or done or voted on as a reflection of your hard work for this community. I've said from the moment I was elected to this, appointed to this, whatever, told that I had to sit in a seat. that we have to be careful with limited resources. And that if we try to start saving the world and funding all of these programs, and many of them are very worthy of our support, that we're not going to do anything well. And I have been a no many, many times on a lot of these programs. It's not a reflection on the people of this room. It's just my strong belief that we should focus on 1 or 2, 3 at the most, and dive really. I look at, as an example, the Boys and Girls Club. If I read this correctly, in case there's no reflection on you, you know I love you. Boys and Girls Club, last year, if I read this right, for year-round out of school, was it 431,000? All right. And this year, the ask is 729,000. I would assume is because they're serving more kids. But to Mr. Mitchell's point, $2.7 million is a big piece of our budget for 843 students. That's around $3,200 per student, which is to me a lot of money. So I'm gonna be a no on this. But again, it's not a reflection of the people that are in this room. It's just simply is to me too much of an investment where we really need to focus on drilling down, investing in smaller number of programs and doing a much deeper dive. Right.
Councilmember O'Brien, I know we haven't heard from you yet. I wanted to just make sure if you had any comments that they were heard.
No, I've been listening with great interest to the debate back and forth. I will tell you, I am torn on this one because I feel a lot like our Superintendent Hannah, that our principal focus I've always believed is really on helping kids in early childhood development, giving them a fighting chance. And some of these programs I think are great programs. I'm not taking anything away, but moving the dial in a lifetime, I think some certain things have a stronger impact than others. However, I do see the balance of this program. I do think we need to be much stricter on how we weigh programs in the future. I do think this is a huge lift, though. It's a lot of money, and we need to be able to really demonstrate where we're getting the bang for the buck as we move forward.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Richards, you were up there for a while.
Brief. I just wanted to echo the same sentiments. We are so grateful for your time and the work that you put in. I do want to repeat myself that it would be really helpful if we had a summary of the work that you, and that's not on you. That's not on you. That's not on you. I think that if we had gotten a summary of the programs, and then if there would be a better understanding, and I think that that's something South would look into in the future, that would be super helpful, especially when making these votes. So we really appreciate all the work that you do and your commitment.
If I may, Councilman Richards, on is page 4 not enough of the memo?
I'm thinking more of like a detailed summary. I come from the county background, and my agendas are 1,500 pages long, and I've got a UPHS agenda item on there, and I have detailed information. I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking for a 1,000-page agenda, but this is important stuff, and it would be helpful, and I know all that information is in the Google Drive, but all the information is in the Google Drive. And so I just think I just believe that would be helpful in this situation for some council members.
And thank you. I have just a thought. As an engineer, I did some research also independent of all of this, right? Because the comparison was to a youth who doesn't have one of these programs. So that's about $3,200. Where they end up otherwise. And if they end up in the juvenile justice system, my wife worked in the juvenile justice system. Kind of did some research to figure out what is the cost for a single youth to be served in the juvenile justice system. Any thoughts on what that number is?
A lot more than 3,200.
Correct. It's depending on who you speak to, it's from 200,000, 250,000. That's 2 orders of magnitude. That's a lot of money to me, because that's 10 over N would be equal to the 2.6 million that we're talking about now. So it all depends on your perspective, where you stand and what you're looking about, what's a lot of money. Because one youth, if we get one, we say $200,000 to $250,000. I just want you to see the perspective on this, how you think about it. It is a lot of money. It is 1/3. I got it. But what's the alternative? Because that number is large. It's a huge number. And what you do is important. I just want to make sure we see completely, because when I looked at this, that's the lens that I was looking through it also.
We would not spend the money. What Mr. Hanna is suggesting is that we might spend it differently that would accomplish the same thing as keeping them out of, again, it sits on the Juvenile Justice Foundation. There's money for.
Yeah, but you know what
like that. I know exactly what it is, but I think the superintendent makes a good point.
Yeah.
I'd like to say we've got a motion on the floor and a second. Last call. Are there any public comments on this?
No cards have been turned up.
I had one question before we vote. Okay,
We turn up.
General Counsel.
Just to make clear, both under the policy, I looked at the policy again. And I looked at the RFP documents. The RFP documents are consistent with the policy. The process that was run is consistent with the RFP documents. The key is, and I think Mr. Mitchell, hit on it. And said, Mr. Davis, this is a recommendation. So it's the council's decision. the council is fully, has the authority, accept, amend, or reject, or adjust. So I just want to make sure the council understands, both legally under the policy and under the RFP itself, the council has a lot of latitude. I hear the logistical constraints, and those might be accommodated as well. But I just want to make sure there's not a misimpression that it's, yay or nay, and if it's nay, everything gets thrown out. That's not the.
Thank you for that, General Counsel, Councilmember Mitchell.
Yeah, and Mr. Springer, and I knew that, but as the guy who went through all applications, it didn't seem fair to me, and this will explain my motion. It didn't seem fair to me that I knew I went through all of these. I knew that it was unlikely, seeing as though if they landed on my desk on Friday, they landed on your desk on Friday. I have a full-time job, not getting paid here. So it was not easy. And I have been up late at night going through all this. So I thought, should I pick apart? And that's what I said. I do know that we have the ability to take the recommendation and do with it what we want. Didn't seem fair that I have more knowledge. I have more information in here with notes to myself. This is my private document. Nobody printed it for me, so you can't touch it. But my motion is exactly what it is, but thank you, Mr. Springer.
Just for clarification, Mr. Chair, it's bifurcated with.
Yes, it's straight up taking the evaluation committee's recommendation.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. We've had comments. There is no public comment. Like to take a vote on that, all in.
Wait, can I, hold on. She has her, I forgot. So sorry, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see
Yeah,
that. I
it's okay.
apologize.
I did, just for me, because again, I'm new here. If we reject this recommendation, what does that look like? Mr. Stern.
Well, someone else could raise another motion. If it's within this. Yeah.
Right, but then I'm saying what happens does this process happen again? Do we?
If somebody makes a motion to say we would like to.
Well, was the motion to reject or was the motion to
No,
accept?
Mine was accept.
to accept.
So if that motion does not pass, I don't think it's dead. Someone else can raise.
Right, no, my motion is dead.
Yeah.
It's somebody, not the issue isn't.
It still is upon the council to decide what to do with this program.
Understood.
Okay, so if it is rejected, we are still having today to decide on what programs are getting money. We haven't voted yet. No, I'm saying hypothetically, I'm just trying to figure out how, like, if it is rejected, like, it's rejected.
You can reject it if you can turn around and adjourn the meeting and walk out of the room if we want to.
Right.
Okay, but has this happened in history of this council?
Yeah, where a motion has failed and then it fails and somebody else makes a motion. And know if the second motion has failed for it to be a third motion, but it can go as long as, there are motions for consideration.
Okay, but this RFP will not come back open. That's what I'm saying. This whole process will not start open. Okay, that's what I need to say.
Councilmember Hannah.
I do have to clarify. So when is the next meeting of this?
April 15th.
April 15th. So potentially, for people that needed more time to process and to think about it, review it, you could come back on April the 15th to still fund summer programs and the fall programs next year, right? Potentially.
If you all choose.
That's what I'm saying. So if it's something you need more time to weigh it, to look through it, to dive into it, give a summary, buy you some more time before you're ready to make a decision.
And I would just add to that, aren't some of these for the summer? So people have some planning considerations for being able to scale to be able to meet this summer obligation. And I'm not on one side or another. Councilmember Mitchell, I am going to call on people here just because it's Councilmember Mitchell.
One of the things I considered coming in was just funding summer. The problem is that
there is a list of summer only. But the year round also includes summer. So it would be like, how do you quite, so that's why I was like, again, I think each year we keep doing better. And each year we just keep doing better. And look, there's no, each one of you guys knows me, but we've been doing this for 5 years. You know how frustrated I am. I'm not happy about this. I'm not. This is our neighbor's money, and I'm not sure I'm super comfortable with it, but I'm also incredibly uncomfortable saying no to the children and family that I know this stuff will serve. I just don't want to be in this position again. And I don't know that there's an event at the end of March, Superintendent, I think it's March 25th, where the community comes out. It's at FAMU Research School, where they come out and they sign up for this. So, I mean, could we wait till the April meeting? Yes, but we would have missed an opportunity for the families. And despite the fact that, I'm told that that this population doesn't sign up for programs early, I think when I was making decisions for my 3 kids at summer camp, it was Christmas time. It was Thanksgiving, Christmas, and we're signed up by January. So I think it's a huge courtesy to the families we're trying to serve to get it to them sooner. That, again, I struggled mightily with my motion, but that happened.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. So we have a motion on the floor. Could you restate the motion, please, Holly?
The motion is to accept the recommendation by the evaluation panel, seconded by Commissioner Cummings.
And you request to go to a roll call vote on that, please.
Councilmember Vanderlinden.
Yeah, 7.
Councilmember Richards. Councilmember O'Brien. I know you're muted. I'll give you a moment.
Yes.
Thank you. Superintendent Hannah. Commissioner Cummings.
Yes.
Treasurer Mitchell.
Yes.
Chair Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda, and I do want to thank you for your comments.
Oh, I have a motion. I have a motion, and that is that we direct staff, because this RFP will come back next year, to get it in a posture that we can vote on it early. I would also like, as part of the same motion, to include whoever wants to do it, that a member of the council sit on the evaluation.
Okay.
So if I understand that, there's 2 parts to that motion. It's to get this RFP out earlier to the council, and the second part to, is the motion to require
Yes.
that a council member sit on the evaluation committee.
One council.
Order. I heard a second, but I don't know who said it. Thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor in a second. Do you want to roll call vote this one?
Can we ask, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Yes, Commissioner Cummings.
Okay. I understand the first part, Mr. Peter. Can you elaborate on the second part? I understand the early
Yep.
years getting it out.
Yep, so as part of the Family Resource Center procurement, one member, myself, sat on at least the second one. The first one member also sat on it, and that was Mr. Watts. The process, again, about 1/3 of our budget goes to the Family Resource Center. So it seems like large procurements, it's helpful to have one council member who sits on it and is going through it. Again, it's not that I don't trust the members of the community, but I've learned to trust the people sitting around here, and I like to hear from them
what happened in that meeting? If you remember, we struggled pretty heavily on the Family Resource Center, whether just to can it. And as part of the negotiation committee, we were able, because I truly believe it's because I was a member of the council, I could bring the recommendation that we take a scaled down version to start here at this location. And I think it served the process.
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, Mr. Mitchell. My concern is how do you enforce that? Now, I recall specifically, and I can't remember what RFP it was, Math Executive Director, but we voted in this meeting that the council members would look at each applicant that submitted an application. When we came back as a council to vote on it, I had read, you had read, I think one of the council members. So how do we, I don't think we have the mechanism to
Right.
enforce any one number.
So, okay, yes, I do.
You see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
and I remember this conversation. So if it would make it easier, but by that we offer to all members of the council an opportunity to sit on it, and that we limit it to one so that there isn't a violation of sunshine. What I'm trying to get to is that one member of the council really should sit on these evaluations. Yes, we all have a responsibility to read through all the proposals, time permitting. That's the first part of my motion. The second part is for one member of the council to actually sit.
And I don't have a problem with that. It still goes back to my question of how do you implement that one?
If somebody doesn't want to do it,
doesn't volunteer, then what do we do?
and that's what I'm saying. I'll if
You
no
always
one,
back up.
if no one, let me tell you what, I did it. I did it in 4 days, and that includes a weekend, and a session going on. So, yeah, I mean, so that on this procurement may get hit by a bus as I leave here today. So if I'm not the person and all other 9 and whoever takes my place doesn't want to, then I will adjust the motion that we try our best to find one member of the council to sit on the
Well, I think
evaluation.
it should be modified. I don't think it should be mandatory because we can, maybe
And then
attorney can.
I'm happy to modify it so
Yeah.
that we make an effort to find one member of the council who is willing to sit on the evaluation.
I like that modification.
I'm not sure I can follow Robert's rules on this, but I do understand that there were 2 parts to this motion. There was a motion to require staff to get this proposal out early. I'm not convinced that we needed one to do that, but we're gonna have it. And the second part of the motion is to encourage a member of the council to participate on all the evaluation committees for does it matter on what procurement type?
Yeah, specific to this particular procurement next year, the OST procurement.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Point of order. Yep, we have a second, but she would need to amend. Or she would need to accept the amended motion.
Except.
We have an amended motion and a second on the amended motion on the floor. Do we need to request whether there's any public comment before we vote?
There's no public comment.
Thank you for that. Let's take a roll call vote on this, please.
Councilmember Vanderlinden,
Yes.
Councilmember Richards.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien,
Yes.
Superintendent Hannah,
Yes.
Commissioner Cummings,
Yes.
Treasurer Mitchell,
Yes.
Chair Johnson,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Family Resource Center Neighborhood Readiness Update. Executive Director Green, how would you like to
Yes,
proceed
so
on
we
this?
have representatives of CHS that will come and give us an update, keeping in mind we are almost at 6 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. So, hello, everyone.
Not to rush it.
Have a very hearty conversation when we come here. So, it's typically again hearty conversation, but again, it's always a pleasure to be here. Someone said that FRC represents a third of the budget. So that definitely speaks to the confidence and trust in Children's Home Society, and we most certainly appreciate that. So I'm Tiffany Martin, Executive Director of Children's Home Society. Always, again, happy to be here, and Kim Simon is here as well. This is our Community Partnership School Director at Sable Palm, Vincent. He's with us. So you just approved funding to support our programming there. The principal from Sable Palm, Principal Hankerson, was here earlier just to represent the school and to say thank you. And also we have our lovely FRC team members here as well, our Associate Executive Director, Charnay Morris, our Community Engagement Specialist, Jamie. Again, want to acknowledge you all and say thank you for all of the things that you all do. I certainly do appreciate your leadership in our community as well as your service. So thank you all so much. So now that we have that out of the way, because I really do appreciate our team at CHS, of course, we're here to give an update on the recent proposal that we submitted to you all for the work that we would be doing in Griffin Heights, Frenchtown, in addition to the Macon community. I do want to say, though, we've had some significant support from different community leaders in our work with those listening sessions. Number one, Commissioner Cummings, thank you. You physically showed up at some of those listening sessions, and you also did not come empty-handed. So I certainly appreciate that you came and you brought some essential items that were definitely supporting the families that we serve and that did not go unnoticed. So thank you as well. I also want to acknowledge LaShawn Gordon with UPHS. She was present at every single listening session. She gave us feedback after every single listening session. She also facilitated the conversation with those parents at every single listening session. And I have to highlight that because she made it very easy for those parents to share those challenges. And she also made it easy for them to translate what they were saying in a way that we can really extrapolate the information that we need to lift the voice of the community. So again, LaShawn, thank you to you and your team for that. She also made sure that we had food at every single listening session. But why is that important? Because families were coming from work. They had their kids, and when they did not have to go back home to fix or prepare dinner after spending time with us. And I can recall we were in Springfield apartments. We had at least 35 kids in one room eating dinner at minimum. But that also speaks to their appreciation for having a great meal and having a safe space to hang out and to eat that meal. So that speaks to, even though we were providing listening sessions, it really gave us an opportunity to have a more intimate time with the members of the community that we were really seeking to serve. In addition to that, we had school board member Marcus Nicholas attend some of those meetings as well. LaShawn with Early's Kitchen, of course, though that is who helped prepare those meals. We also had, I think, school board member Daryl Jones, did he attend any of those?
Yes, he did.
He did, okay, thank you. I thought he did. And I'm specifically naming these individuals because it definitely does demonstrate that we have leadership in our communities that are looking to support the communities that they serve. And for Children's Home Society, that is very important because we've shared consistently, we cannot do this work on our own. We need support to do it and to do it effectively and in a quality manner. So that makes a huge, huge difference. Kim is going to give some more information about exactly what we did, what that looked like, but it's important to keep in context everything that she is going to share. Yes, we did have leadership, participation, and collaboration in what we facilitated. However, I must say, it is still
We would like to see more engagement from parents showing up at the listening sessions to continue to lift those voices. So did we have parents and community members present? Absolutely, we did. We want to continue to see them engaging in that work. And Kim, I'll invite you up.
Yes. All right, thank you. You have the full update report in your packet that was submitted to CSC. What's being handed out now is an executive summary that's will help you as I go through my presentation. So you don't have to flip pages and try and find it in the report. It should be condensed there that you can follow along. And of course, then at the end, we can go through and see if there's any more detailed questions. But our goal during this phase is not to design a program in isolation. It is to listen carefully, test assumptions, and determine whether or not the Family Resource Center model fits the realities of these neighborhoods. So between November and February, we conducted 5 structured listening sessions in Griffin Heights and Frenchtown. Residents, neighborhood leaders, faith partners, and local organizations participated. These conversations focused on understanding barriers families face when trying to access services, what supports they believe would make a difference, and what conditions would make them feel comfortable participating. Engagement in Macon Town and Country is underway, though that community is earlier in the activation process. Across both areas, the participation of trusted community leaders and organizations has been essential in helping us convene these conversations. Across listening sessions, residents consistently describe challenges that many of you have heard. Families spoke about housing strain, neighborhood safety concerns, childcare and after-school gaps, transportation barriers, and growing mental health needs. But one insight repeatedly surfaced that is especially important for the council to consider. Some residents are aware that resources exist, but many struggle with navigating them. Families described systems that felt fragmented, programs that come and go, referrals that don't always lead to follow-up, and many parents said that they often rely on friends or family for information instead of formal service networks. One resident summarized it simply: I don't know where to start or who to call first. So the challenge we are seeing is not only about identifying needs, it's about ensuring families have a reliable doorway into the services that already exist. This leads to an important clarification. A family resource center is not a place where families and children simply gather during the day, and it's not designed to replace existing service providers. Instead, the FRC model functions primarily as a navigation and coordination hub. Its role is to connect families to the many services that are already available in the community, provide guidance navigating complex systems, and ensure that referrals result in actual support. This happens through trusted relationships, warm handoffs with partners, and consistent follow-up. When working effectively, the Family Resource Center strengthens the network of providers already serving our families. We are also using the community readiness model to assess how prepared each neighborhood is to support coordinated services. Preliminary scoring across the Griffin Heights and Frenchtown sessions have shown encouraging movement. As conversations have progressed, readiness scores increased from approximately 4.6 during the first session to around 7 in later sessions. This progression reflects a shift in dialogue. Early sessions focused heavily on frustration and past instability, while later conversations began to include more solutions-oriented thinking and community ideas for collaboration. However, it is important to emphasize that this does not mean readiness has structurally changed overnight. What it shows us is a growing openness to coordinated solutions if there is a visible follow-through. Other important takeaways: the key communities currently demonstrate different readiness pathways. While Griffin Heights and Frenchtown show strong engagement, clear articulation of family needs, residents are eager for reliable supports, but also express program fatigue due to past experiences with initiatives that did not last. In Macon Town and Country, residents also recognize many of the same challenges. However, the community is earlier in the process of activating leadership networks and building sustained engagement. For that reason, our work in Macon is focused on leadership recruitment, relationship building, and vision development before discussing an implementation model. Several risks have also emerged during this process. First, meeting turnout can be affected by work schedules, weather, safety concerns, which is why we are increasingly embedding conversations into existing gatherings rather than relying solely on standalone events. Second, trust remains a critical factor. Residents often reference programs that started and disappeared. To address this, we are implementing simple feedback loops, sharing what we have heard and how it is shaping next steps. And finally, leadership activation varies across neighborhoods. Supporting local champions and cultivating resident leadership will be essential for long-term sustainability. Over the next several months, the readiness process will continue to advance through several key milestones. We will complete additional listening sessions and ensure parent voices are strongly represented in the synthesis of findings. We will launch community design labs to explore service priorities, delivery methods, and partnership opportunities. We will also begin feasibility scenarios, including potential brick and mortar, mobile, or hybrid service models. These analyses will include operating cost assumptions, staff considerations, and potential partner commitments. All of this information will be integrated to a final decision support report that will be submitted to the council in May and presented in June of 2026. Ultimately, the readiness process is designed to answer two central questions. One, what level of infrastructure is needed to ensure families can successfully access the resources that already exist in our community? And two, how ready is that community to engage in, support, and sustain a family resource center? By taking the time to listen carefully, analyze readiness conditions now, we can ensure that any future investment aligns with both community needs and sustainable partnership structures. So thank you for your continued leadership and commitment to Leon families. I look forward to coming back in June, but for now, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council members, any questions? CFS. Councilmember Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Martin, I want to thank you and your team, all that you all have done over the last couple of months, and thank you for that summary report as well. And I want to thank Ms. LaShawn Gordon because she spearheaded most of those meetings in Griffin Heights, Frenchtown. She provided the training. And I know she's the director of United Partners for Human Services, so she didn't have to do that, but she's interested in the community and those communities. And she just went out of her way to make sure she engaged those parents. I enjoyed those meetings. I thank you guys, but my question is now going forward. We're in March. We had meetings in like every Thursday in January, pretty much, and a couple in February. Do you have a schedule? Will you use the same type charrette type meetings, or what is the plan going forward to determine, readiness or not?
Our next step is the members of the neighborhood association, neighborhood affiliation. They have been walking with us every single step of the way. It's very important for me to mention that because we got some strong feedback from them previously. So to receive that strong feedback from them and then for them to come alongside us and to facilitate with us really speaks to that neighborhood association's willingness to engage in the work with us, which is what we said we needed. So we are going to convene with that group first to walk through in a more intimate setting what we found, what we've learned, give them an opportunity to give our team feedback, and then we can share feedback with them as well. And together, although we do have a plan for doing collabs, I would like to see us continue to, again, walk that path with the community and not do it just for the community.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate that response. I mean, you just know that we're very supportive of you all. Generate a schedule of meetings with the community. I'd like, and I just want to point out too, not only are the council members concerned, Mr. Mitchell attended some of those meetings.
I'm so sorry.
I-
Yes, you did.
But thank you all. I think we all have the same goal in mind, the same concern for our communities and our families and our children. And I just feel like what you all's plan now, I believe it will benefit and be successful.
Yes, ma'am.
For the community. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we will most certainly share those dates with you as well, again, because we consider you walking with us, you know, in that process. So we most certainly will do that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Thanks. Karen, Tiffany, thank you both for being here. Thank you for the presentation. Good work, really good work. Good work here, good work out before Braden. And I'm not really sure where where we are in terms of. I'm happy to hear progress being made in Frenchtown and Griffin Heights. That's fantastic. However that's moving along. By the way, I would like to. I'll talk to you if you keep including me in it, because I'd like to still show up and learn a lot about the community and their needs. Can only learn when you listen to them. The issue of a mobile unit, though, that's not dead, right? I mean, are we still considering recognizing that we have a lot of communities, right? I think to myself, heck, I thought Town and Country was out on Old Bainbridge and Dartmouth. Turns out not so much. My geography specialist, Miss Green here, let me know where it was. But I know Fred George is one. I know Woodville is one. I mean, there are lots of pockets in this community that have needs for resources. Kim, as sort of you pointed out, I don't know where to go, and when somebody tells me where to go, there isn't follow-up. But if a mobile unit made it around this community and spent 2 days in one area, and everybody knew it's Monday, guess what? All of your resources are there. I mean, eventually we can't put up a shop like this everywhere. So especially in those areas where it would make sense to a mobile unit, I don't know where we are in the expo.
So our goal through this process is to design a menu or poo-poo platter, if you will. When we come back for the council to look at varying levels of investment and what that might look like. So I do anticipate additional outreach using the vans will be one of those options.
Okay, and I guess maybe I had, Siki, you might want to jump in. I think I had a different feel for what a mobile unit would look like. And in fairness, I was mentioning to you that I was just out at the Bond Community Health Centers. That is a mobile unit.
That's it
So
is.
I was like, you know what? This would be great. And I'm not, I know with the Frenchtown and Griffin Heights, we're trying to find an actual hub there, facility there, right? And that's great. But I'm thinking of all these other communities around this town, and if the FRC concept continues to work like it is here and in Fort Braden and hopefully in Griffin Heights, it may be time. Again, I can't just have all these different
places where staff has to be. And I'm not really sure that 5 days a week, 8 hours or 10 hours a day is really necessary. But the mobile unit concept is one that I hope we continue to keep on the burner. For
Absolutely.
consideration.
As well as looking at, co-satellite locations of where we can be stationed certain days with particular rescheduling and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll all be in the mix.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of the work that we're doing is this is the Children's Service Council of Leon County. Which, I believe that means that we have the responsibility to bring back a recommendation representative of what we have learned through this entire process. So although we are doing listening sessions in Griffin Heights, Frenchtown, although we are doing those in Macon Town and Country, again, I think it is our responsibility to bring back a recommendation that encompasses all of what we have learned during this process. And that is not just isolated to these two communities that we have named. When it comes to the mobile unit, there are many variations of what that could look like. Kim, I would say she's our mobile unit expert because she's been to several different trainings as that is being built out and implemented through the National Center. And so thankfully, we have her level of expertise and learning to help shape and form that recommendation when we are ready to bring that back.
Councilmember Vanderlyn.
I just want to say that I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. I love that you guys are having the people in the community being a part of it because they are the experts in their life, right? They are the experts. I can sit here all day and say, oh, they need this and they need that. That might not be really what they need. So I love that you guys are actually working with them side by side to help the community. So.
And I want to say thank you for that feedback because, I attended about 3 of our listening sessions and something that resonated with me was it wasn't that I didn't know some of what the parents were saying. It was that I was in a position where I heard it again. And I was sitting in the room with them again. And I'm sitting in the room with them and their kids, a newborn, and people that are walking, and then elementary age kids. And I'm physically watching them balance feeding my child, making sure this one has something productive to do, and making sure this one is not running all around the room. And I'm trying to give feedback so you know what my needs are.
Right.
So for me, the experience was really valuable because these are everyday people that are experiencing very common challenges that, again, I think it is our responsibility to physically be present with them in their community to hear it. And I believe that is what positions us to provide quality services with integrity, compassion, and empathy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you.
I'd like to draw your attention to agenda item 11, just upcoming meetings and events. You can read that on your phone.
Can I just add one? Corporate FRC is celebrating their 1 year on April 10th, Friday, 5 to 8 p.m. So
April 10th.
April 10th,
What time?
we'll be there. 5 to 8 p.m.
Thank you very much. Are there any final member comments? Hearing none, do we have to vote?
I heard that we adjourned, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Great job.